As they put on their ponchos, so it's written in the Mail. Does anybody wear ponchos? Well, I suppose they do when they're out at festivals. Not in the city, not so fisticats that are at Reading and Leeds. As they put on their ponchos and prepare for a weekend of stellar lineups. Not to my eyes. Stellar lineups. Festival music lovers are braving the rain and the risk of catching COVID, as well as a multitude of sexually transmitted diseases.
Disgusting.
They are the first large-scale gigs since restrictions were eased, and fans can look forward to tomorrow's searing 77 Fahrenheit heat. Yes?
No.
No. They're lying about that. That is a lie. There will be no such searing heat. It's going to be cold and cloudy. And the music will be rubbish as well.
Correct.
I mean, come on. Liam Gallagher? Does anybody want to hear that cagouled, droning, monobrowed oik without the rest of Oasis?
No.
Stormzy? Anyone?
Negative.
How about Biffy Clyro?
No, 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 no.
I don't even know who that is. Is it a bloke or a band? He sounds like a country and western singer. Billy Clyro. Biffy Clyro. Is that real, or is that somebody just made that up as a joke? Does he sound like a country and western star? Exactly. Why can't they have proper acts like in the good old days? It were grand when I were a lad. You could go to your local pub and see Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and the Wurzels singing I've Got a Brand New Combine Harvester, and you get enough change out of 3 groats to buy a suit and a weekend in Morecambe. You tell that to the young folk today and they won't believe you. Most of the UK is set to be dry and bright for the duration of the 3-day weekend after weeks of wetter than usual weather for August, according to the Met Office. It said the high pressure is likely to dominate through the end of the month and into the start of September, suggesting that this week's settled spell could continue into next week. Yeah, it's settled. It's settled at rubbish. We've had this weather for ages now. It's been the blooming same every day. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Highs potentially reaching 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Reading. Well, so where's this 77 that they were talking about? Look forward to tomorrow's searing 77-degree heat. And then in the same blooming article, they say it's only going to go up to 70. Like I said. Liar! Highs potentially reaching 70 Fahrenheit. Oh, wow. 62 in Leeds. Oh. And going to drop to 50 Fahrenheit overnight. And don't even ask me to translate that into European surrender centigrade because I'm too upset. I am not completely satisfied with summer. Met Office spokesmodel Graham said it'll be a largely fine and settled weekend. There's very little, if any, rain in the forecast, and that the best conditions will be in Northern Ireland. Arr, arr, arr. Drivers are urged to avoid embarking on a bank holiday getaway this afternoon, as the RAC warned that nearly 17 million motorists will be making trips between Friday and Monday, and quite a lot of them will be driving Audis. Met Office spokesmodel Graham said, the conditions are expected to cool slightly going into... Cool? Oh, come off it. He says we've got fine and settled weather to come for a considerable period of time. It looks as though it's locked in for a while. Therefore, although temperatures may come down a little bit, there should still be plenty of bright conditions and plenty of weather for people to enjoy over the bank holiday. Yeah, you can enjoy it, as long as you wear your hat, coat, scarf and gloves. It's normal for August. RAC breakdown spokesperson Rod urged motorists to carry out essential checks on their car, such as ensuring the ashtrays don't have any illegal drugs in them.
Want to score some pot?
Stash away any opened whiskey under the seat and put your fog lights on during the day because that makes you look cool. Of course, if you are in a hatchback, you will already be doing this.
Thank you.
The Met Office's Graham Madge said, we'll have high pressure largely in charge. That leads to generally fine and settled conditions. Tonight, dry, variable amounts of cloud for most regions. variable. Just say cloudy. Thicker cloud and low fog. Wait. Thicker low cloud and fog for some northwestern coastal areas. Scattered showers in the far southeast. Chilly in the clearer areas. Tomorrow. Dry, sunny spells. Feeling warm by the afternoon. Well, that very much depends on your definition of warm, doesn't it? Not mine, I can tell you that. I haven't taken my thermals off pretty much all year long. And by not taking my thermals off, I mean I'm still wearing the same ones I was wearing last January. When it comes to it, you may be able to peel them off me, but it might require a blowtorch. Outlook for Sunday to Tuesday. Remaining fine and dry for most, with the best of any sunshine and the warmest temperatures in the west. Cloudier and cooler for eastern parts, which I hope does not include any of your parts. Sunshine and warmth in the west. Well, not the northwest, surely, because that would be you know where. I'll check while you wait. This phone is an idiot. It doesn't recognise my face. It doesn't recognise my my thumbprint or anything. It's me. All right, Glasgow. What? Pfft, rubbish. That's nonsense. You are not getting 2 weeks without rain. I don't believe it. There's something wrong with that phone. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
I don't blame you. Next couple of weeks. This is until the 10th of September. Oh, my God, it's September already. Largely fine and dry weather. Best of any sunshine in the west or the northwest. That's what my app said. With more cloud in the east. Sunshine in the northwest. Do you have anything to wear in the northwest when the sun shines? Winds are going to be light to moderate. Temperatures near average, turning less settled in western areas with some showers and longer spells of rain. And the middle 2 weeks in September. More unsettled spells towards the northwest. That's you, Glasgow. The south and the southeast will have settled conditions likely to continue through mid-September before a trend towards drier weather later in the month. Temperatures are likely to be near to or a little above average for the time of year. Temperatures are likely to be near to or a little above average for the time of year? We'll take it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Are these texts in just now?
They're today.
They're today. Wow, we've got hot, fresh texts. Adrian emails. Well, the last year and a half our lives have been turned upside down with COVID, and just when we thought it couldn't possibly get any worse, you can't get a milkshake from McDonald's. Honestly, it's the last straw. Get it? Oh, there's more. And it's a rubbish paper straw as well, because plastic straws have been banned. Damn it! Don't suck so hard, Adrian. Stephen texts, as our new trade envoy for Australia, Ian Botham is batting for Britain. Is that what he was doing?
Disgusting.
I tried to avert my eyes instantly, but, once seen, never unseen. Is that what he was doing? Norwich. Hello, Brett.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
I was going to say, hello there.
Well, hello there.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, hello. Hey, listen, man. Are you talking about Afghanistan tonight?
Well, I am now.
Okay. Listen, I've got a theory, and I will have to prefix the word allegedly. But,
oh, that'll cover us.
You know when Trump had conversations with the Taliban?
Yeah, when Donald Trump surrendered to the Taliban.
I'll bring us into war.
Yes.
Was it behind closed doors?
Yes.
Yeah.
He always likes to meet despots behind closed doors. Yeah, isn't that curious?
Well, here's my little alleged theory.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's beyond the realms of fantasy that he
is not a smart person?
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yeah, that's a given, mate. Do you think that he might have possibly said, like, do you remember that thing where there was a dispute between the left and the alt-right? I can't remember the name of the town, but where young lady...
Washington, D.C.? That little dispute when they tried to take over America. That one?
No. Prior to that, where the young lady lost her life and someone run her over.
Oh, yes.
Now,
oh, my God, what are you about to say?
Well, when they were doing the debates between Biden and Trump, that he said something around the lines of stand back and stand by.
Yes, to the Proud Boys, those infantile bedwetters who run around armed to the teeth and they think it makes them manly.
That's the one. Now, if you translate, if you then futuristic that and translate it to the situation that's ongoing, mate, do you think that behind closed doors that he said that to the Taliban?
I've no idea.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I've got no idea.
I know nothing.
And neither does he. It doesn't have a clue.
What do I know about it? All I know is what's on the internet.
Just what's on the internet, that's all. Let's not kid ourselves, he's got a strategy.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
You're a chump, Donny.
Don't be rude.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Well, where do I even begin? Let me just begin by saying Darren and Julian Newcross wanted me to say hello to them, and I absolutely will not do that. Wayne emails, you're always slating Boris Johnson, but I'd like to see Jeremy Corbyn do a better job. Oh, my God, Wayne, you are not whatabouting me right now, are you? Man, what about this and what about that? Oh, it gets worse. He says, one day I hope to see Nigel Farage and Anne Widdecombe as PM and Chancellor. Yeah, that'd be great. I assume you're joking, so I'll move on. Andrea texts, did you hear about ISIS X? It's like ISIS K, but much more dangerous, and it's coming soon. The ex-president, but still orange trumpet said so. We're all going to die. ISIS X and ISIS K. Is that some sort of drug reference? You kids, just say no. Well, just say no thank you. I mean, good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite.
Shane says, on Monday this week, I was cruising along the M8 towards Greenock when I noticed it was not raining in Glasgow. What? I don't believe you. And Bodger, this says, Bodger can be proud of one success as PM, 100% record of failure. He's making failure his speciality, but then he's rebranding failure as success. There's going to be all new dictionaries now. Everything that you thought was true is now have been rebranded. Like the word hospitals, for instance. Apparently it doesn't mean hospital anymore. Hospitals have been ordered by the government to describe newly built units and major refurbishments of existing NHS buildings as new hospitals.
What?
This is because Bodger came up with this lie about building 40 new hospitals. There's a clip of him. You've probably seen it on YouTube. They're sitting around that big table at the cabinet, and he says, how many new hospitals are we building? And they all say, 40. You know, like they're getting their story straight before being interviewed by the police. How many? 40. Yes, that's right. And then they all went out, dutifully, told the same lie over and over again. We're building 40 new hospitals, they said. And Saj-man Javid tweeted that he was going to open one of the new 40 new hospitals this week.
Liar!
No, you weren't. I can't believe it. He actually said that out. Well, he wrote it down. the evidence is in. Guilty. I'm off to open one of the 40 new hospitals this week, he said. It wasn't a new hospital, it was a ward in a hospital that already exists. You know, but they've said it so many times that people are believing it. Because that's the great benefit of repeating a lie over and over again, is because people eventually believe it. And the bigger the lie, the more likely they are to believe it. Because in the back of your mind, you think, well, they wouldn't lie to me about a thing like that, would they? They wouldn't be so barefaced as to go on TV and just spout lies about something as important as that, would they? No, so it must be true. But people believe it despite their knowledge of the relationship that this regime has with the truth. Over and over and over again, they've proved that they have a scant relationship with the truth, and people continue to believe their every word. Oh, well, I know they lied to me about this, and then they lied to me about that, and they lied to me about the other thing, but they're bound not to be lying to me about this. And as 40 new hospitals, 40 is not a hard number to count to, unlike 20,000 new police officers, for instance, very difficult number to count, because as soon as you start counting, they start moving about, and you lose count. Just stand still. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can count 40. And, by the way, on that 20,000 new police officers, this is another one of those non-facts they went around the table repeating, like they were in junior school. How many new police officers are we having? 20,000, that's right. And so they'll go and spout this nonsense on television, and some nodding journo will just let them get away with it. Here's the news. You cannot have 20,000 new police officers until you replace the 21,000 that the Tories have cut since they've been in office. If I take £10 from you and I give you £1 back, I haven't given you £1. I've taken 9. So those 40 new hospitals are going to be hard to find, as they don't exist. I mean, they were never going to exist. It's just one of those things that Bodge blurts out to get a positive response from the people that he's addressing. Unfortunately for them, they wrote it down in their manifesto. Fortunately for them, nobody ever reads the manifesto. So, it's also very, what would Donald Trump do? We're still living in Donald Trump's world, but we are in this country. What would Donald Trump do? He'd lie his face off, and by the time you fact-checked him, he'd have told another 50 lies. So instead of actually building 40 new hospitals, they are changing the definition of the word hospital.
Oh, fabulous.
It's priceless. That's what they're doing. They're changing the definition of the word hospital so that they can announce that they have actually did what they said they were going to do and build 40 new hospitals. Instead of building 40 new hospitals, they're changing the definition of the word hospital. Can you believe that? A communications playbook for the government's new hospitals programme makes clear what ministers would define as a new hospital. And by playbook, it means, please learn this by rote, and you must spew this out when you're on TV on when we wheel you out one by one to face some beige inquisitor. And by beige, I don't mean the colour of their skin, I mean just bland. Who will act all deferential, will allow them to get away with absolutely anything. Apart from that woman on Sky. Apart from her. But even she doesn't get much out of them. They just sit there and they go, blah, 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 blah. Of course, 20% more of this and 100,000 more of that. And then time's up and they sail off into the sunset. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
So instead of actually building 40 new hospitals, they're changing the definition of the word hospital. Can you believe that?
Yes.
This communications playbook for the government's new hospitals programme makes clear what ministers would define as a new hospital, which is not what you would define as a new hospital. And it also encourages NHS trusts to press home the pledge to build the new hospitals by the end of the decade. So the NHS now is being repurposed as a government propaganda machine. a leaked document. The only way we know about this is because some concerned citizen leaked this document. It was obtained by Health Service Journal. It was sent to NHS trusts this month, titled New Hospital Programme Communications Playbook. Wow, how sinister does that sound? Playbook. It's a game. We'll discombobulate you with a lot of spurious statistics and verbiage that doesn't quite sink in first time around, and then we'll spirit ourselves away and you'll just be left in a whirlpool of confusion. Talking about a whirlpool of confusion.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
There he is, right there. A communications playbook. How to respond when asked. How to game your way out of a corner when pressed by a journalist. It might as well have been titled. According to the Health Service Journal, this playbook said, the schemes named in the announcement are not all identical and vary across a number of factors. However, they do all satisfy the criteria we set of what a new hospital is, so must always be referred to as a new hospital, even if they aren't. Get that? They are not identical and vary across a number of factors. In other words, they're not anything like a new hospital, but they satisfy the criteria of what the government says is the definition of the word hospital. Are we stunned yet? I am. Have you ever seen anything like it in all your life? They satisfy the criteria we set of what a new hospital is. They're changing the language to suit themselves now. Under the definitions of a new hospital, the document stated that this could include a major new clinical building on an existing site or a new wing of an existing hospital, provided it contains a whole clinical service, such as maternity or children's services, or a major refurbishment or alteration of all but the building frame or main structure, delivering a significant extension to useful life, which includes major or visible changes to the external structure. It could also be the provision of a cigarette butt receptacle or a portaloo in the waiting room, and that the outside gets a lick of paint. Oh, I've run out of time. I'll come back to this in a minute. I think I need the attention of a nurse. Somebody get the screens. 034, there aren't any? 0345 60, a pair of new screens equals a new hospital? They're way ahead of schedule. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Look at the time. It's 10:30, the news headlines with Zora Solomon.
Now, wait a minute. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
So, back with the story about this fantastical tale about the 40 hospitals. Nuffield Trust Director of Strategy Helen Buckingham told the HSJ, the Health Service Journal, probably. She said, stretching the definition of a new hospital to cover all these initiatives is not going to convince the average patient or taxpayer and might lead to a poor reception for what are actually much-needed local improvements. Correctamundo, Helen. See, if people are expecting a new hospital because that's what they voted for, and it turns out that it's just a small extension to the hospital that's already there, then those people might get the idea that they've been had. And that would cause them loss of face. So they will never admit to being had and will bend themselves into pretzel shapes, trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that that's what they voted for.
Oh, fabulous.
Or they'll engage in an orgy of whataboutism. Well, what about Jeremy Corbyn? He didn't know. I've had that already. He didn't open any hospitals when he was Prime Minister. Why didn't he open any hospitals when he was Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn? What about him? And when quizzed about this, the Department of Health and Social Security said, we have committed to build 40 hospitals by 2030, backed by an initial £3.7 billion. That ain't going to get you nothing. That won't get you a car park. That'll get you a tenth of an app for your phone that won't work. Each of the hospital building projects will be new hospitals delivering brand new state-of-the-art facilities to world-class provision of healthcare for NHS patients and staff by replacing outdated infrastructure. OK, everything about that's wrong. It's like British exceptionalism. It's world-beating. The entire world will be looking on us in envy when we create 40 new hospitals out of the dust, spending absolutely no money whatsoever because they don't actually exist. Only we can do this because we're British, damn it. They said it's not uncommon for existing hospital sites to accommodate multiple hospitals, and there are numerous hospitals which specialise in one area of care and are co-located. They are all nonetheless hospitals. No, they're not. They're wings and they're wards and they're clinics. You don't get to call every room in a hospital a hospital. They said, we have issued guidance to trusts in the programme to support communications around the plans for their schemes, which is standard practice. No, it isn't. Forcing people in the NHS to lie to make the government's promises become a reality, like they're waving a magic wand. Standard practice. Well, it is under this regime. God, what a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
I am stunned. Mary texts, Biffy Clyro are from Glasgow. Why does it always rain on me? That was one of those. I'm only happy when it rains.
Rock and roll!
That was another one. Jezza tweets, Biffy Clyro are an English-hating Scottish rock band. Hey, they're probably Andy Murray's favourite band. Oh, yeah, I really like their lyrics and I really like their tunes and they got a great stage act and it's really very exciting. I'm very excited right now just thinking about them and I love their fans. Apart from the English, I really hate the English. Jesus of Narrative tweets, we need to listen to more Coldplay in these sad times. No, we don't. Oldbury. Hello, Branches.
Hiya, Nick. You okay?
Yes, fine, thanks.
Well, you know what?
What?
Regarding Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, it's been staring us in the face because Donald Trump's favourite phrase, one of them is...
shut up!
Yeah, that's his favourite phrase.
That's one of them, right? I like that one.
Yeah.
Don't be rude, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
he keeps whining and whining.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's, one of them is, the other one is, I love the poorly educated, yeah? Okay. Now, look at our state of our schools. Yeah?
I love the smell I love the smell of makeup in the morning. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, hang on, he's got loads, yeah? But what I'm trying to say is basically the education level of the people like myself and, the working class is going further down.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's like it's a plan, isn't it?
We haven't got the knowledge of asking the questions, yeah?
Yes.
Because what they're doing is they're dividing us, yeah? Okay, all the time we've been divided by race, religion, colour, gender, or whatever. Right? While we're busy amongst fighting ourselves, these plonkers, are running this country down.
So who's the plonker then, Ranjit?
We are.
Bingo!
Yeah, because we vote these idiots in, yeah? And then we complain. Now, I don't know if you've seen one of the Clint Eastwood films where he goes, don't pee on my back and tell me it's raining, yeah?
No. Which one was that? Was that the one with the orangutan?
No, I think it's Outlaw Josie Wells. What he's saying to the system, yeah? You're peeing on my back and you're telling me it's raining. And if somebody intelligent asks them that question, they say, well, why don't you go and get yourself an umbrella?
Right.
This is like my add to it.
Yeah. Why don't you flip channels? Because that doesn't seem like a very seemly film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is now, going on Boris Johnson, remember a few months ago I said, look, when Donald Trump was, we're best at this.
No, I most certainly do remember nothing of the sort. I do not listen to this show.
Okay. I said Donald Trump's been reading the graph upside down. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so where he's at the bottom and he reads it the other way around, he thinks he's at the top.
Yeah.
And that's what Boris Johnson is doing now, like with the police force. Oh, we've got 20,000 extra, like what you've just said. But the reality of it is probably about 6,000 less.
They are they're disseminating misinformation. You can't say we're going to have 20,000 more police officers if they've taken 21,000 off the streets. Even if, and in the vanishingly unlikely circumstance that they actually do provide 20,000 new police persons, then there will still be 1,000 short of where they were when they took over.
Yeah, and the other thing that you're on about hospitals, yeah? So if 3 or 4 GPs get together and they build a new surgery, yeah?
Yeah, and they sell it to an American medical insurance company, yeah.
That's another hospital, yeah? So these people are constantly lying to us. But where Boris Johnson is going to get very unstuck now, yeah, is this over this Afghan thing, yeah? Because
no, it's not going to happen. People in this country don't care about Afghanistan. They make a big song and a dance about caring about them because it's on the news at the moment. You've got horrible pictures and dreadful, reports coming in from that. But the press are going to get bored of it in a couple of days. I'm amazed they're still going on about it now. Let's say a week tops, and then the people will move on to something else, and they'll start crying about the prospect of some shrunken camel.
No, Nick, what I'm trying to say is basically when he's going to be meeting other world leaders, yeah? Because here he's a big bully, right, in a small playground, yeah? He's going around, running around, bullying all of us, yeah, telling us lies, and we're having to take him in. And like what you said about his cult followers, they're too ashamed now to admit that they were wrong.
Other countries are looking at us and laughing. They just cannot believe what's going on in this country. We used to be an ordered country that was doing pretty well. We were sailing along fairly okay. I mean, the rich were spectacularly rich, and the rest of us were just about keeping up or getting by. Things were going along fairly well. And then on top of COVID, we did this to ourselves. We got Brexit. We're the only country on earth that has ever signed a trade agreement to make it more difficult to trade with our nearest and largest trading partner. That's just us. In the history of commerce, no country has ever done what we've just done. And other countries are just looking at us with open mouth as we equally stare with open mouths at empty shelves in supermarkets. And by the way, the prospect of a cancelled Christmas. So I'll come to that in a minute. Thanks a lot, Ranjit. I think that you've made your point. Did he make his point?
No.
It just took too long to get there. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Sadly, yes. Sally texts, just think lots of people will be dancing this weekend. Hey, Sally, you're dancing. Who's asking? I'm asking. I'm dancing. Toby tweets, somebody was chatting to me in the shop today and said, summer is over now. I was under the impression it hadn't even started yet, says Toby. That's right, it hasn't. We've had March since March, and now it's going to be straight into autumn. Summer was a non-appearance. There was no appearance of summer. We didn't get summer this year. Don't complicate it. There was no summer this year. Abysmal. I mean, just absolutely shocking. And you can't go anywhere else because, everywhere else is on a red list. That a person would want to go on holiday. What's wrong with me? I need a hospital. Unfortunately, there aren't any. I mean, you go to somewhere like Paris and there's blokes with loud hailers on the corners saying,
emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
This says that was the worst weather synopsis in the history of mankind. Get lost. It was perfect. It was like Michael Fish had walked into the studio. Like Thomas Schaffenacker was here in person. 0345 6060 973. Okay then. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah. Democracy. You've talked about it a fair lot, and we make bad decisions, etc.
Yes.
I've got a bit of a theory on this one, and that's that since the Second World War, and I'm not a Brexiter, since the Second World War, there's only one country on earth has been able to afford a viable military.
Switzerland.
Which is a democracy, and that's America.
America.
Everywhere else in the world, if a party says, what we're going to do is cut defence spending and spend more on schools and hospitals, the opposing party immediately has to come up with a plan to avoid people voting for the other party. So they say, oh yeah, we're going to cut defence spending. So the entire democratic world is slowly reducing its military capability, whereas the authoritarian regimes can do as they like. I mean, Putin can say, we need to double the army in Russia. China can just double its army.
Yeah, I don't think you got that right, Mike. I think that we are spending ever larger, more fantastic amounts on our military. There doesn't seem to be any limits to the amount of money that we'll throw at the private military contractors. No amount seems to be enough, and it doesn't really matter what the product they provide is. It doesn't apparently matter whether it works or not. We buy boats that sink. We buy tanks that can't fire, that shake their occupants to death, so that they actually need one of those 40 new hospitals. So we got tanks that don't work and ships that don't work. And what else we got? We've got nuclear weapons that we'll never use, not now, not ever, never. £40 billion, and you know what? If they say it costs £40 billion, you can be absolutely certain it's £80 billion. So it's probably £100 billion that we spend on our military. And what do we do with it? What's it for?
But it has no capability, because we have 40 nations other than America in Afghanistan, and we can't maintain a military presence in Afghanistan.
Incredible. It took like 2,500 people and about 10,000 support staff. So we can muster 10,000 support staff between us and our friends in the EU, and we can certainly... even with the cuts that we've had in our armed services under the Caring, Sharing Conservative Party, which, by the way, amount to 30,000 in the Army, 5,000 in the Navy, 5,000 in the RAF, 2,000 in the Royal Marines, and, not to mention all of the rest of it, which is 60,000 from the NHS, 21,000 police, 10,000 prison officers, 7,000 PCSOs, 730,000 people in the public sector, and 12,000 fire persons.
But one bit of good news, anyway. I've got a new car.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you like... Wait. Do you like driving in your car?
I love driving in my car, right. And now I've got a new set of alloys on it. I've got a new car. Because Boris said, if I change a little bit, it's new. So I've got a brand new car by putting a set of alloys on. Isn't that wonderful?
Mike, are you out of your mind? You're going to curb those alloys in about 10 minutes.
No, I'm not letting the missus drive it.
All right, that's a pretty good note to end on. Say goodbye.
Cheers, mate.
Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. He said ta-da, and not a moment too soon.
Bye-bye.
Not that he was going to say anything offensive or anything. But women can't park. It's a fact that I just made up for comic effect. I know somebody who just took their driving test, and it didn't seem that there's any test in the driving test anymore. When I were a lad, I had to pass my driving test, and it was extremely tortuous. You had to know the highway code up and down and back and forth. And there's absolutely nothing that I did not know that I have subsequently forgotten in the highway code. Ask me now anything you like about the highway code, and I will not know the answer. But ask me at 17 years old, and I would have provided the answer toot sweet, if not quicker. And the actual test itself was torturous. There were hill starts, and he said you didn't even have to do an emergency stop. But what are they testing? Your ability to find your keys? You didn't even have to park the car. That's insane. No wonder the road is full of berserk people. They've been told that they're excellent drivers and have got the documentation to prove it, and they don't know one end of the car from another. And we provide them with something that weighs 2 tons and goes 150 mile an hour, and they are, to a person, all out to prove that fact. And nobody knows the extent of their car. They just seem to hog the centre of the road these days, particularly on really, really narrow roads. They don't know where the end of their car is. They don't know how far it is from where they're sitting to the end of the passenger side. So they've got no idea how near the curb is. See, there's that bloke with his alloys. They're going to be ruined by next Tuesday, I betcha. Betcha. What do you want to do that for? Get new alloys? They'll look good when they're fitted, and then you'll be cursing every moment from next Tuesday onwards. Damn it, just spent $2,000 on those, you'll be thinking. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, driving tests. What do they test these days? He passed, but then who couldn't? You could pass it if you're asleep. You don't have to park. You don't have to do a hill start. You don't have to do an emergency stop. Well, what else is there? Hello? Is this thing on? 0345 6060 973. Toby tweets, someone was chatting to me. I've read that. Declan says, I'm all for saving the planet and the COP26, but why Glasgow? Is there a direct flight from Washington to Glasgow? Well, there is when the President of the United States of America travels. There's a direct flight from there to anywhere when he wants to go. Although, ask Joe Biden where it is he's going, and he'll probably say, but not quite that high. It's a little alarming. And by the way, I know that the right-wing press want to paint him as this doddering old fool, but he is an improvement on the previous incumbent.
Everything that I've done is 100% proper. That's what I do, is I do things proper.
Let's not forget that. The worst president, probably the worst leader of a country outside of a fascist dictatorship in the history of politics. So he's better than him, better than that dishonest person.
I'm a person that wants to tell the truth. I'm an honest person.
Yeah, at least the current one has a strategy on something.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I can believe him on. Zero strategy. I mean, at this point, anything that upsets the dingalings is okay by me. But he did not have his head in his hands, and he was not in a fetal position because of some Fox News journalists, and I'm waggling my fingers in the air to denote inverted commas around the word journalist, about some Fox News journalists' questions. This Afghanistan thing was Donald Trump's blooming fault because he surrendered to the Taliban behind closed doors in secret. And then came out and said it was a huge deal. Tremendous. Nobody ever saw such a huge deal, believe me. He did not... Joe Biden did not get into a fetal position because he was being quizzed by a journalist. He was just flabbergasted, is a pretty good word. Don't ask me to spell it, but I can say it. I bet his flabber has never been so gasted. Anyway, that's it's not. Well, I was going to say it's not our problem, but actually everything that happens in America is our problem, because what happens there usually happens here. It used to be the case that it was 6 months later, but now, you know, what with the internet. Oh, have you seen what's on the internet?
Disgusting.
What's on the internet? It means that information travels much, much quicker, and it'll be whatever happens in America happens here about 6 weeks. It happened in America.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
And then it happened here.
Here we go. Okay.
No, not okay. The opposite of that. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Seriously, if you have recently passed your driving test, I would like to know what it was you were tested on. Because the evidence in my eyes rather suggests that if you can find your car, you pass your test.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
It's a big sack of monkey nuts. That describes life. Don't talk to me about life. So Cristiano Ronaldo is going to Manchester United. That's pretty exciting. I haven't seen a single match of the day yet because I've been busy. You know, there's been guests over at my place, so I haven't seen a single match of the season so far. How's it been going?
Oh, fabulous.
How about you, Arsenal fans? I wonder what the private terms and conditions of Cristiano Ronaldo, which all commentators deem it necessary to give his full name whenever they refer to him. I mean, nobody's going to mix him up with the other Ronaldo. Just say Ronaldo. You don't have to say Cristiano Ronaldo. How many blooming syllables is that? It's impossible to do, actually add them up. Cristiano Ronaldo. I wonder what the public terms or the private terms of his contract include. Maybe 6 people with full-length mirrors following him in a circle everywhere he goes so that he can always have a 360-degree view of himself. Michelle texts, as if the poor people of Afghanistan aren't suffering enough already, those fortunate enough to escape are having their suffering further compounded by Priti Patel welcoming them at the airport. Can you imagine that? I'll go back, I don't care. Alan texts, did you have a good time last Sunday? What do you mean by that? It was all right. I was here. I enjoyed it. What are you talking about? Good time last Sunday. Archie says, have you seen the amount of ammo the US have left behind for the Taliban to use? Billions worth. What could go wrong? Exactly. It's a total show over there. And on that subject, here's a call in Manchester. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Nicholas. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I'm actually a bit shocked about Ronaldo before we start because yesterday he was signing for the Birds and now he's apparently United man. So
yeah,
wow.
I heard he was going to Norwich.
I wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, wow. Listen about this sort of Afghanistan thing. I'm no Trump fan, and there's no but coming after it.
But there's no way of getting out of that sentence unless there's a but.
Do you know what? I thought I'd throw the Ronaldo thing in to throw you off stump, but it didn't work, did it?
Not yet.
But okay, Trump did all this bad stuff. I mean, let all these bad people go and did this deal in Doha and stuff like that.
Huge deal. Tremendous.
Huge deal. Tremendous. I'm not as good as you at doing the impression, but
he doesn't come from Liverpool, you know. that was about 3,000 miles out. Go ahead.
I lived in Glasgow. Quick sub story. Lived in Glasgow for 5 years, and every time I talked to someone in Glasgow, what part of Liverpool do you come from? I used to get really offended. I'm like, the Manchester mate. Seriously.
They're 6 miles apart. Get over it.
I know, but there's a big but. I'm not sure Biden could have done anything different, but I'm sure...
Well, he could have done some things different. He could have done some things.
He could have done a lot of things different.
Yeah.
Like the timescale of the withdrawals, you know, and this little thing about actually informing them about what we're going to do and when we're going to do it.
He did actually change the timescale of the withdrawal. It was going to be May. Yeah. Donald Trump wanted everybody out by May, and Biden left it to sit for a little while. But the planning seems to be dismal. Yeah, on both sides, on all sides.
Dismal,
we are just as at fault.
I'm not sure. Well, we're at fault because we're the poodle. We've got to follow the boss dog, haven't we? But do you know what I mean? It's like, although you could blame Trump, I'm not sure you can totally blame it on Trump. And then, like I said, I'm no fan of the big orange man. But I think Biden could have perhaps done things slightly different.
Of course he could, yeah. I mean, Biden has been undoing pretty much all the stupid, wrong and amoral things that Donald Trump had fashioned around himself. Apart from this one thing. But the reason that Biden didn't want to undo Trump's thing was because Biden wanted out of Afghanistan for a decade or more. He ran on that. That was his promise to the people of America.
Was it Obama that said about Biden, though, he'll find a way of effing things up if he can, though?
Messing
Something
things
like that.
up. Yeah, that's what...
Yeah.
Your phone dipped out just for a moment there.
Like that.
Messing is what he said. He said messing things up. Yeah, messing things up.
I
Yeah.
didn't swear.
Okay,
but
then.
I think Obama did say that, didn't he? That if there's a way of fudging things up, let's say, he'll find a way of doing it. So, you know what I mean? So, listen, Nick, you are the Gandalf of radio presentation. It's an honour to talk to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stephen. You shall not pass. 0345 6060 973. Gandalf. I'm not that old. Thanks very much for everybody who sent me a birthday card and presents and such like. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's very, very nice. You didn't have to do it, but you did it, and I appreciate it. Turing tweet, not that one, surely. Turing tweets, the weather this August has been deeply unsatisfactory for summer.
Correct.
Yeah, I know that. It's just day after day after day. And here's how annoying it is. It's annoying because Carol McGiffin...
What?
Yes, you, Carol McGiffin, are in the south of France. Do you know how warm it is in the south of France? I'll tell you. Oh, my God. OK, this is... She's not in Nice, but she's Nice adjacent. It's tomorrow, sunny, 77. Sunday, sunny, 78. Monday, sunny, 77. Tuesday, sunny, 77. Wednesday, sunny, 79. And it goes on like that every day for 2 weeks, sunny and 77, 78, 79 degrees in Nice, in the south of France. And so I thought, well, OK, that's Nice, that's the south of France. What's Paris like? Well, you know what? It's not far off the bloomin' same. 72 tomorrow, and then an anomaly, 69 on Sunday. And then, by the end of this week, it's 76 degrees and sunny, 77, 76, 76, 77, 77. And you know what it is here? Oh, my God. 66, 63 next week. 63 degrees and cloudy. 64, 65. That's it. It's over. How is it, meteorologists, explain this to me, I double dare you. How is it possible that France and England are having such spectacularly different weather, despite the fact that you could spit that far? I mean, I get why Northern Ireland, I get why they're freezing cold and raining all the time, is because they've got the weather coming off the sea there. And, you know, I'm prepared to believe that Scotland will have worse weather than the south of England. But why? I've never been so upset. Very, very annoyed.
Stop whining.
Chris says, while some parents may be outraged by children being vaccinated without consent, what about the child's right to be protected? Apropos of nothing at all. We weren't even talking about that, but he managed to squeeze it in there anyway. Lancashire. Hello, Annie.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
You ought to be up here, you know. We've had a good summer this summer.
Shut
Amazingly.
up. Nonsense.
We have. I kept hearing that it was all terrible down south, which is usually the other way around.
Yes.
But we haven't had much rain at all for a couple of months. You know, I just kept praying for rain because the garden was parched. We had to keep filling up the pond. And even now, I mean, my friend's been up the Lake District for 2 days. She's come back burnt.
What?
Burnt, yes.
Annie,
definitely.
We do not wish to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I just... I'm just going to say a rude word then.
But what is it that's happened? I mean, really, because I don't know any explanation. Because the weather people, they just say what it's going to be like, but they don't tell you why it's going to be like it. Why has it been so specifically awful just here where I live? I'm not saying that I'm personally being picked on, but...
Well, it seems to be in the east of the country, doesn't it? The west, it's usually the west that gets more rain, but this year it's been the east and the southeast that's had a lot more rain than we have, which is very unusual and very odd. Probably global warming, it's all...
Oh, right. You're talking about chickens?
Yes, or something. Yeah. Anyway, that's not what I rung about. I rung up about the lying about the NHS.
Oh, yeah.
About hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the problem is that if you don't have a lot to do with hospitals or the NHS, and a lot of people just read the right-wing media, or maybe younger people sort of, get all their news off social media and things, so they're not necessarily getting properly informed. People just don't know what's going on. But if you have much to do with it, like this year, I've had a lot to do with the NHS. Actually this week I had to dial an ambulance, dial 999 for my partner, who was sitting on the bed and just keeled over sideways and was virtually unconscious. So I dashed down, I had to go down on the stair lift downstairs, get to the phone and dial 999.
What's the number for 999?
I was told that it could be an hour and a quarter for an ambulance.
What?
And I said he's had a stroke once. I said, I don't know what's the matter with him. He's not properly conscious. And she said, I'm really sorry. She said, we're just so busy at the moment. She said, if it gets any worse, ring back. Well, I thought, well, what difference does that make? Yeah, I mean, and it takes me...
This is our world-beating and world envy... I've mucked that sentence up. This NHS is the envy of the world. Yeah.
Exactly. And anyway, in the end, they did turn up after half an hour, and she said, oh, you're really lucky, because she said we've just, gone to an old lady. She's been on the floor for 12 hours.
What?
I mean, it is shocking. Well, my mother-in-law was on the floor for 7 hours, and this is 80 miles south of here. A couple of months ago, she was on... Yeah, I mean, they sent somebody out in a car to make her comfortable, in inverted commas, if you can be made comfortable on the floor. But then the ambulance itself took
I'm surprised
7 hours.
I'm surprised they didn't get Amazon to just deliver her a cushion.
Yes. Oh, honestly, it's just no joke. And then in A&E, he got stuck in A&E for 14 hours.
What?
Yeah. No, well, I mean... He was actually lying on, in a cubicle, lying on an examination table, but they didn't have a bed. He was in A&E for 14 hours because they had no beds.
Oh, my God.
And then I couldn't get through to A&E. I spent I'm absolutely knackered because I spent most of Wednesday night awake trying to ring A&E. They were so busy they couldn't even answer the phones. Literally, I had to get somebody from the reception to take a note through to them to ask somebody to ring me to let me know what was going on.
You know what? This is a result of having a Labour government over the past 10 years under the disastrous premiership of Jeremy Corbyn. Oh, no, wait, that's right. He hasn't been the Prime Minister. It's been this regime that have brought us to this place.
Exactly. This communist regime that we're under. I mean, honestly. And then about the lying business, I mean, of course, it is only 6 weeks. They copied it all off Trump. And where did Trump get it from? His little book that he had by his bed, Mein Kampf.
Yeah, I think it was according to Vanity Fair or one of those magazines did a piece on him, and they just noted that his bedtime reading was Hitler's speeches.
Oh, right. Well, it's just as bad, isn't it? Really. Although, who knows what he was gleaning.
Well, it's like a how-to manual to
yes.
to get to the a sufficient number of people to vote for you.
Yes, definitely. And Goebbels' trick of, repeating lies constantly.
Big lie, and make them really, really big. Yeah, that's precisely what Donny did.
Yes, and what this lot are doing now. I mean, really, how... I just can't... I can't believe... Well, I can believe it, but I can't believe that some of the people in the NHS are actually going to do that and say that this is a new hospital when it's...
Well, I'm glad that some concerned citizen actually had the gumption to release this to bodies who could get it out into the public. Not that it would make the slightest bit of difference, because the answer that you'll get from members of the public who have supported the regime isn't, oh, well, he's doing his best, because they will not admit to being had. That's the essence of it. And
no, they absolutely won't.
There's no way out. I think we're stuck here forever. Annie, I'm going to have to go. Was Was your other half all right?
Yes, he is. He's much better now. They don't quite know. They've still got him there because they're doing a few more tests, but he is much better.
Okay, good. All right, thanks for that. 0345 6060 973, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yes, the old bag is right. Tom texts, I'm in Glasgow for the weekend and I am pleased to announce it's great weather. I think you've been lying all along, he says.
Liar!
Jim emails, up here in West Cumbria, it's been a great summer. Oh, well, soon it'll be Christmas when we can all enjoy a lovely dinner of toast. Yeah, you know what? Bad news. The toast is off. We've got no bread and you ain't got no toast. I'll come to that in a minute. And Brian says, Farage and Widdicombe as PM and Chancellor, I'd rather have Palpatine and Vader in charge. Yeah, and then the only thing that could help us is the Rebel Alliance. You hear that, Keir Starmer? We need an alliance. You listening to this? Probably too busy styling his hair.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
You just don't. Wembley Park. Hello, Christoph.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Christoph.
Okay, so when I wanted to about driving tests.
Yes.
I didn't hear the... you must be referring to some of the news items. We're in the position at the moment of trying to decide whether we should get our son to be instructed on using a manual car or an automatic.
A manual car?
Warning!
No, that's too many limbs in operation at the same time. You'd have to be out of your mind to have a manual car. What do you want one of those for?
Do you mind if I tell you the story? So I should say up front that I'm blind. I'm visually impaired. As yet, I've never been legally allowed to drive a car. Of course, that could change.
Well, the stuff that I see on the road, Christoph, I can't imagine that being blind makes you...
you don't think it disqualifies me?
That's exactly what I was going for, yes.
Oh, dear. How sad. Anyway, so my other half passed her driving test about 20 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And she's from India. And she went back to India and her parents' family bought a car. And she did she wanted to park the car in the garage, and to do so she had to reverse uphill.
Uh-oh.
And so she did a reverse uphill start.
Ooh.
At which point the car dealer asked her if she was married.
What?
He was so impressed.
Oh.
Because Indian women drivers, I suppose.
Okay, then.
And of course, a lot of Indian drivers don't actually need to pass a test to get a license.
Don't they?
I mean, they merely need to confirm that they've passed the test.
Right. So if they say they have, they have.
Or they might have a piece of paper that says so as well.
Right.
But, so you imagine my dilemma right at the beginning. Do we put our son, do we get him to do a manual driving test? I don't know.
But why would you want to have him? I mean, it's a useful thing to have because sometimes in life you do get presented with a car that you have to drive and it's a manual. Like if you hire a van, for instance, you've got to move some stuff from here to there. Like most vans in a hire company or just vans in general, they are manual gears. So it's probably
you may be
best.
right there, but I think even that's changing, Nick. And the reverse uphill start. We've in our current car. That the car would just simply know that she was trying to do a reverse uphill start. With all its sensors and everything. It's a hybrid thing, and it would know. It's got so many sensors. It literally only has two pedals. And accelerator and brake, go and stop. Right. And that's it, and a few other buttons.
Well, you'd think it would be a piece of cake to drive a car like that, but most cars are like that. I mean, my car is an automatic. I wouldn't dream of having a manual car. All that effort, forget it. But most people's cars are like that, and they pretty much drive themselves, and yet they seem to be able to drive like complete lunatics, like they've lost control of their limbs.
There are compromises, aren't there? With the racing drivers have paddles where they can shift gears manually, but it's all done electronically and things like that. So, Yeah, so I suppose it depends. Well, anyway, we still haven't decided, but I just think it's all about what's happening. Really, is everyone is being de-skilled. You know, there's no necessity to have certain skills now.
Like adding up, for instance, or finding where you are and compared to where you want to be, like map reading. No one can read a map anymore. Forget it.
I still have a London Street Atlas, massive book.
Me too. Yeah, I've got one. It's been in the boot of my car for about a decade now. And
I've taught my son to read it.
Really?
Yeah, why not? And I say it's a useful skill.
Well, actually, it is, because I don't know if this is just me, but the Google Maps thing seems to have lost its mind lately. I was going to a Wisley, the gardens there, and I was about 2 minutes from there. I was about maybe, I don't know, like a quarter of a mile away, and it told me that instead of just going in a direct straight line to where I was going, what I actually needed to do was go in the opposite direction for 15 minutes. It took me, well, I ignored it, but it wanted to take me on the most massive detour that you've ever seen in your life, for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Well, it's either been hacked, or just bear in mind that even paper maps had errors. So it could have been hacked. You know, I wouldn't put it past someone to have managed to hack something like Google Maps. I'm not saying they did. But there is obviously human error that involved in all these technologies. But that's an interesting story. We had a very similar one the other day with our sat-nav.
Yeah.
But paper maps are also
right. Yeah, perhaps. Right, I suppose so. But yeah, I mean, a paper map is more likely that the person reading it would make a mistake than the map itself is in error. Although it depends when it was printed, of course.
Well, you heard all the stories of people driving over into harbours and into water because following their sat-navs. I don't know if any of those stories were true.
Right.
But
use your common sense, and there's no such thing as common sense.
Except when COVID. You talk about COVID, of course.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot, Christoph. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, the other thing it wanted me to do was to leave the motorway I was on and just go around the roundabout that was off the motorway and then rejoin the exact same motorway that I was on. What was the point of that? If I just stayed on the motorway, I would have been in exactly the same position, just quicker. I think it's lost its mind. Google Maps. This is the mind of Google Maps, recorded yesterday. Confused. Jan tweets, I think we're misunderstanding Boris. Stop saying Boris. He's not your pet. He's not a dog. Johnson, you mean? Jan tweets, I think we're misunderstanding Johnson. Is he saying they are building faulty new hospitals? I think that must be what he means. A faulty hospital. Right. That makes much more sense. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Zora Solomon.
Better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Tony emails, I read that the philosophy of the Chinese president is to be included in the school curriculum over there. What pearls of wisdom would one find in Bozo's book, apart from never be more than 12 hours from a high-vis vest? Yeah, or a walk-in fridge. Or 3 months away from squiring some top Tory totty. Bah! Manchester. Hello, Ryan.
Oh, hi, Nick. I've been listening to you for about 3 weeks, non-stop.
Very good. Thank you.
That's all right. I thought it was a perfect time to call because I've completed 4 driving tests.
4? You failed 4 times?
I might have failed 3 of them.
Might?
Well, okay, I did. But I still think they were probably too easy.
How is it possible to fail a driving test?
I think the examiner was probably slightly unstable. He was actually being examined in one of them.
Right.
So there was a lady sitting in the back, and And anyway, at one point he slammed on the brakes, and at the end he said to me, because it was a sort of dual control, and at the end he said to me, if I wasn't paying attention, that would have been it for all of us.
And when he said he didn't mean you, he meant himself?
No, he meant himself. Yeah.
Right. Well, so why did he slam the brakes on? What were you about to hit?
He thought there was a car coming towards us. I was convinced there wasn't.
That's not something you really have a debate about. Either there was or there wasn't. Which was it?
I said we'll have to agree to disagree.
Right, okay. And he failed you anyway?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the fourth one where he passed me, I was convinced, because I had the same guy 3 times. I was convinced. I was convinced that he just wanted to get rid of me.
Yeah.
And he said at one point I was over the speed limit, but I eventually brought
to hell
it
with
back.
it. Yeah.
He said I brought it back to around the right kind of speed.
Yeah, he just couldn't stand it anymore. He never wanted to see you again.
Yeah, pretty much.
So now the rest of us have to suffer. Manchester, as long as you stay in Manchester, then I'll be completely safe.
Bad luck, I'm moving to London in a couple of weeks.
Oh my God! Right, I'm giving up my car. I'm going by bus. So, did you have to in this highly complex test? Did you actually have to park?
No.
What?
I had to. Oh, actually, yes, I had to. I did have to park. I had to do parallel parking on every single test. Yeah, every one of them I had to do.
Well, that's really weird, because I know somebody who's just passed their test and they didn't have to do anything of the sort. Did you have to do an emergency stop?
On one of them, yes.
Right.
Yeah, but not every one. Why they don't ask it every time? I don't know. They might as well.
Did you have to bring the car to a halt before exiting?
Maybe one of them.
Yeah, just open the door and throw yourself out.
Yeah. I think that's what he wanted me to do at certain points.
Yeah.
But at the end, it was good.
Okay, but you passed in the end.
I think. Thank you.
All right. Well, do you actually have a car?
I did. Then my parents sold it. I can't think why, but they didn't like getting in the car with me.
Right. Okay. Well, that's the very, very smart parents. Ordinarily, I would blame the parents, but in this case, they get a pass. All right. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Always take the train or the bus. Hitch. Anything but take the car. For the benefit of all of us. Toby tweets, last week, Mr. Javid visited Carlisle to cut the ribbon for a new cancer care unit. On his way to the event, he tweeted that he was, quotes, looking forward to opening one of 48 new hospitals later today. Is he balmy or what? Says Toby. Toby, I've dealt with that in detail. But that's exactly what Sajid Javid, the Javman Saj, Super Saj. I can't get past the power stance. And if you haven't seen it, then look it up on the World Wide Web. Super Saj doing the power stance. You've never seen anything so risible in all your life. Never get past that. Saj-man Jav. Vince texts, I think what they'll do is take 20,000 existing police, give them a nice scrub up and a brush, and voila, 20,000 sparkly new officers. Well, they could stick them through a car wash. Would Sir like wax? Steve said, sad news about the death of Charlie Watts this week, who described his job as 5 years of work, 20 years of hanging around. 20? It's like 120. He says, thank God Keith Richards has got at least another 50 years left in him, eh? I think Keith Richards died about 30 years ago, and that he's just, his clothes live on. If there is a thermonuclear war, then the only things that will survive will be Keith Richards and cockroaches. Just that. Why isn't there a band called the Cockroaches, by the way? Doesn't that sound like an excellent name for a band? Why isn't there one? Ian says that the Tories used the same trick in 1992 to change polytechnics into universities. They claim to have created 33 new universities. Did they really? Huh. And Robert says, if I buy my wife a new blender, can I say I bought her a new kitchen? Absolutely. Paul says, my new fuzzy dice makes my car a new car. And, well, there's probably variations on that theme. Plenty of them. 0345 6060 973. Well, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but Christmas is cancelled.
Oh, no.
Supermarket shelves could be empty at Christmas.
What?
Empty. This is due to food retailers grappling with severe supply chain issues. So says the chief of one of the UK's largest supermarkets. But at least he didn't say that it was caused by Brexit. Until he said that it was caused by Brexit. John Allen, the chairman of Tesco, said supermarkets are struggling to source stock ahead of the busy festive period as a result of immigration rule changes caused by Brexit, reducing the supply of lorry drivers. John Allen, chairman of Tesco, said supermarkets would normally be increasing stock in their preparation for the Christmas period, when demand for food and drink products is typically higher than the rest of the year.
Booze.
You can say that again. However, a scarcity of HGV drivers has stopped them doing this. He says, we've got Christmas around the corner, and in retail we start to stock build really from September onwards for what is a hugely important time of year. You know, this is very upsetting for several reasons. First of all, the prospect of empty shelves at Christmas, because you want them bursting with products and produce at Christmas time. You want an embarrassment of riches, don't you? You want to put on at least 3 stone at Christmas time. You want to eat until your face falls off at Christmas. You do not want to go to the supermarket and find that they ain't got this and they ain't got that, and as for the other, forget about it. But the other thing that's really annoying is that we're talking about Christmas. I haven't finished with summer yet. We haven't had summer yet. Christmas we're talking about already. John Allen, out of Tesco's, said, we've got a lot of goods to transport between now and Christmas, and a strong supply chain is vital for everyone. The reason for sounding the alarm now is that we've already had one Christmas cancelled at the last minute. I'd hate this one to be problematic as well. There will be problems this Christmas without food to eat. Get Mud on the phone. They're going to have to re-record Lonely this Christmas.
Rock and roll!
They can creep in and then creep out again. So this is getting serious now, isn't it? Like Brexit. Blimey. Road haulage chiefs have calculated there's a shortfall of nearly 100,000 drivers. 100,000! And you know what the government's answer to it was? Increase the size of lorries. Yeah, how big are they going to be? 100,000 times as big. 100,000 drivers we're short of. And the government's response is, just let's make the lorries bigger. Or you could make the shelves in the supermarkets smaller. Problem solved. And we are short of 100,000 drivers because thousands of EU drivers left the UK during the pandemic. And they left because we said we don't want your sort round here no more.
Bye-bye.
And so they left. It's a mystery. But you might be thinking, what does the boss of Tesco's know about supermarkets compared to some bloke with a Union Jack as a profile picture ranting away on Facebook about it having nothing to do with Brexit? Well, the boss of the Co-op supermarket, Steve Murrells, said that current food shortages are the worst he has ever seen. And what you'll get from people is, well, the shelves are stocked round where I live. My corner shop is bursting, it is. So that proves that the boss of Tesco's and the boss of the Co-op supermarket have no idea what they're talking about. Everybody gets to have their own facts these days. We're all living in the screaming memes world now.
Oh, shut up!
The boss of the Co-op supermarket, Steve Murrell, said the food shortages are the worst he's ever seen. as in ever. Data published this week by the Confederation for British Industry shows that retailers recorded their lowest levels of stock since records began. I was going to have a blood test this week. I tweeted this out. I put it up on Twitter. I was going to have a blood test this morning to get up as the cock was crowing and hightail it down to the GPs for a blood test. They called me up yesterday saying, don't bother. It ain't worth it. Because we ain't got no bottles to put the blood in. You know, those little plastic bottles. You wouldn't think that would be a thing, but apparently it is. There's a nationwide shortage of blood sample bottles. Can you believe that? They were going to take my precious essence and squirt it into a bottle. So now I get nothing because there's a nationwide shortage of blood bottles, all because of the European Union being mean to us. No! Or whatever fantastical excuse you want to make up. Data published this week by the Confederation for British Industry shows retailers recorded their lowest levels of stock since records began. Meanwhile, high street fast food chains have stopped selling products as a result of suffering from shortages of key components. McDonald's removed milkshakes from its menus in England. I am stunned. Not only in England, but also in Scotland and Wales, which sounds like almost everywhere to me. Greggs announced its chicken bakes are in short supply. These are the sunny uplands that we were told about. Oh, it's absolutely glorious. And by sunny, they mean hungry, and by uplands, they mean gutters. How's Brexit going, Nige?
Brexit's going great.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
So what are we doing?
Carol, we're doing a radio show. It does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while maintaining a straight face and having limited success on both counts. The last one that went up is, I think you'll find it amusing. We have a right laugh doing it. I look forward to I look forward to it every week. It's me and her. It's the most we laugh all week long, the hour or so that we spend yakking back and forth. And this week, somebody asked us about, and this isn't a topic, so don't even think about calling in on it, but ghosts. Are ghosts naked? And if not, where did their clothes come from? Did their clothes also die too? That's one of the problems that we tried to solve, and the other was, like marital issues, and don't ask me, I can't remember. I do it, I don't... Well, I do actually listen to it because I've got to edit it afterwards. I've got to edit all of the rude words that Carol says. I have to edit them all out. Because, politeness.
Be polite!
Exactly. But if you wish to be amused, then I think it'll be right up your alley. It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? Ask for it by name on an internet near you. If you get Global Player, by the way, you can find it on there. Global Player is available for free on your favourite app store. If you go to the podcast section, do an internet search on my name. Easier. Nick Abbott podcasts, and everything will become clear as a bell. Fiona says, do you think that the communications book, this is the hospital thing, the method of lying about how many hospitals they're actually building, they just threw that out and then realised, wait a minute, people are actually holding us to this. They're actually going to count, these people, the amount of hospitals we're building. They're not just going to take our word for it. So now they're redefining what it is to be a hospital. Instead of building 48 new hospitals, they've just changed the definition of the word hospital. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I can. Fiona says, do you think that the communications book was Michael Gove's summer homework, as he has been missing in action for weeks? Bodger must have given him something to do to keep him out of the road, to keep him on the road for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I haven't seen Michael Gove in a good long while, and we miss him. No.
No.
Not even a little bit. Ricky says, is there any chance of the custard hippo chucking us some of the millions of pounds he plans to hand over to the Taliban? Yeah, we've surrendered to the Taliban. It's another great British military success. Amazing. What is all that money for that we spend on our military? I mean, seriously, what is it for, apart from burnishing the profit and loss account of private defence contractors, who ministers mysteriously walk out of their jobs as MPs and into earning a vast chunk for not really doing very much? Isn't that curious? Odd. It's almost as though the two are in some way connected. West Yorkshire. Hello, Colin.
Good evening. How are you this evening?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. Well, having been a wagon driver for 27 years and been treated like a pariah. You want a pariah?
Pariah?
Something that you find at the bottom of your shoe, maybe.
Is that what a pariah is?
Well, no, a pariah is something that sort of... well, you know what a pariah is. It's something that's...
It's one of those... It's a fish that eats meat.
Yes, exactly. And we, the wagon drivers, used to be the meat that the haulage industry used to gobble up.
Right.
The reason I've rung up this evening is because there's a massive shortage, as you've already mentioned, about wagon drivers.
Right.
Right. So, you, an intelligent guy...
More or less.
Right, well,
I pretend to be.
Well, you don't. Yeah, I mean, you are an intelligent guy, and you're a very clever guy, and you're a very funny guy. But at the end of the day, when you want to go and pick your potatoes up, or you want to go and pick your vegetables up, or your three-piece sweet or whatever, it's got to be in the shop, and it can only be in the shop if it's delivered by a driver.
Correct.
Now, the drivers are chased and hounded by the police that are doing this check and that check on heavy goods vehicles, and then they're chased by the highways agency, which are great at pulling you over, checking your diesel, checking your tyres, and all that sort of stuff, which, in a safety sense, is a good thing. But then when you've done your 8 hours or 9.5 hours driving, which you're only allowed to do a day at a maximum speed of 56 miles an hour, then you've got to find somewhere to put your head down. So 90% of drivers have to put their head down in lay-by. Or industrial estates, or wherever they can find a parking space. No washing facilities, no way you can have a meal or anything like that.
I know. Near me, there's several lay-bys, and they've always got like 10, 12 lorries jammed in them. I suppose they're waiting for... Do they have to wait for permission to join a queue to get to Dover? Is it something like that?
No. It's not to do with that. It's with the
you just come to the end of your allotted days time, right? Okay.
No, the number of hours you're allowed to drive each day, which is 9 hours.
But I thought the government. Hang on a minute. But the government wasn't the government like flailing around in desperation to try to fashion some success out of this catastrophe. They said you can increase the hours you work by an hour. Something like that, didn't they?
Yeah, well, an hour. You know what? You've got traffic reports there, and it says you're delayed on the M25 or you're delayed on the
always the blooming M25, always.
Always, yeah. So them hours are ticking away. So you're not delivering the goods to the stores where they want to go.
But let me ask you this, Colin. Don't you think that's a long time to be driving a day? I mean, if I drive 2 hours a day, I want to get off the road and have a nap and a sandwich.
No, the thing is that when you're a professional driver, you drive for 4 hours, right? And then you've got to have a 3/4 of an hour break.
Right.
So then you can get out, stretch your legs, have a pee or whatever you want to do. And then you've got another 4 hours. And on 3 days a week, not 5 days a week, 3 days a week, you can drive for 9.5 hours.
Right.
right? And then you've got to park up. So wherever you are, you've got to try and make it to where you are. If you go into a service station and park up, it'll cost you about 30 quid.
Yeah, big mistake.
Up.
Warning. Yeah, don't do that. Don't make that error. Absolutely.
Don't make that.
And here's another error that you don't want to make. If you are on the road and you have to pee in a bottle, don't mistake that bottle for something to have with a sandwich later on.
Well, not only that.
Label those bottles very, very carefully.
Listen, if you drivers have a ton of Tesco carrier bags in their
Okay,
cabs.
I don't think we want to know. Don't want to know. Whatever you were going to say next, Colin, keep it to yourself. Phew, I think I saved us all for a moment there. You're welcome.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Peter texts, have you heard that breakdancing is the next Olympic Games sport in Paris 2024? Maybe they'll have Anton Dubik judging. I don't really know who Anton Dubik is, but I'm sure she is excellent in every regard. Steve tweets, we do not need to listen to more Coldplay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's in reference to a tweet that I read some moments ago. Yeah. But the thing with Coldplay is that they do give good effort, you know, when they're on stage, because every blooming year they were headlining Glastonbury for about the last 10 years in a row. It seemed to me, oh my God, it's Coldplay again. But they do give good effort. I'm not going to rush out and buy any of their albums, but, you know, you've got to admire the effort. Regent's Park, hello, Vance.
Hi, Nick. Enjoying your programme again.
Thanks.
Nick, you were wondering what people are taught on their driving test or
Yes.
what they're tested on.
Right.
Do you realise it's similar to science GCSEs now?
Huh?
When I did my O-levels, say, in physics and chemistry, we had to memorise formula for things like kinetic energy and gravitation. But in the past decade, students have not had to learn formulas. They're printed at the top of their exam paper.
What?
Yes. So you do a physics O-level, GCSE, or
Yeah.
chemistry,
Right.
or mathematics.
And they
you don't
print
have to-
they print the answers on
They print
on the
all
test
the
papers.
formulas. They don't print the answers. They print all the formulas that you need to use to
Right.
calculate your answer. But you don't have to memorize these formulas anymore.
Well, I
And
suppose
think
that does make sense in that in the real world, you need never remember anything because you can look it up. You know, it's your ability to use those equations that's the important part.
Yeah, but it saves so much time if you've memorized them already. And if you go on to do, you know, a proper job in physics or so, you can't just look it up every time.
Well, that's
you've
right.
got to have those formulas to hand.
Yes.
Yeah. And another thing, I've just been on a walking holiday in Suffolk for a few days, and it was a real pleasure to read an Ordnance Survey map. That was a skill that I was given at school.
Is that wise to trust your ability to read a map?
Yeah. I mean, I was taught, I was in the cadet force at school, and so they actually taught us to read Ordnance Survey maps. And one day in Suffolk, there was a whole bunch of people with their iPhones wondering how to get from A to B.
Right.
And eventually they just followed me.
Regardless of where it was you were actually going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt useful.
Wow.
Anyway,
All
nice
right.
to talk to you, Nick.
And you.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot, Vance.
Bye.
I should have asked him what the equation for gravity is. Actually, gravity is caused by magnets. It's magnets.
Affirmative.
Steve tweets. Oh, no, I read that. This says, levelling up will have been achieved when everyone in the north has their own pair of shoes. Yes. John says, can you believe that Glasgow is currently the hottest climate in England? What? What? Or, as they say in Glasgow, what? Martin emails, here in Scotland, we've had a fantastic summer. What, like science fiction, you mean? He says, it's only been rainy in the past couple of weeks, but June and July was scorching. It's time you came home, Nick. Yeah, well, as soon as I get there, it'll be raining every single blooming day. And I know that that's true because it rained every single blooming day that I was in Glasgow. I was there for 3 months. I grew up in Edinburgh, but I stayed in Glasgow for 3 months. Unfortunately, those months were January, February and March. Rained every single day. Every day. Not that I'm complaining or anything.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Sue emails, I've had a tooth pulled out this week and I can't eat properly now. I just try to eat on one side and mushy food so I don't have to chew. Have you ever had a tooth pulled out? Yes, Sue. I have. I was fortunate enough to have a tooth pulled out in, let me see, when was the first lockdown? It was last year in March, something like that. And I went to the dentist with a sore tooth. Do you know what time my appointment was? That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I went in there and I was about the last person they had in there before the lockdown, before all dentists shut up shop. I mean, how about that for luck? Because some people must have been living with a toothache for 10 months, 12 months. It must have been absolute agony. And they said you can have, what do they call it? Root canal work. Now, I don't know what that's like, but it is a synonym for the most painful thing that anybody's ever had. And I've had laser eye surgery from when it was really painful. I was one of the first people in the country to have that. Aren't I a trooper?
No.
It was so painful, you can't believe it. Because unlike the thing that they do now, it's like they flap and zap. They cut around and lift and peel the skin back, then zap the underneath and then put the skin back on. Oh, no. When they first started to do that, they actually scraped the front of your eyeball off.
Oh, no.
I'm not making that up. And then it had to regrow. God, it was painful. You couldn't... I had to lie in a dark room. You couldn't move, because every time you move, there's nothing you can do about it. Your eyes move too. It was the most painful thing ever. So I don't want to have to go through that again or have root canal work. So I just said to them, I'll pull it out. It's amazing how pain-free it is to have your tooth pulled out. I mean, I know they inject you. That's the worst part of it. They come at you with this... a needle that's about 3 feet long. You think that this is definitely going to go through my jaw and through my neck. He's going to staple me to the chair I'm sitting in. Why do they have to be so long? Don't answer that question. But yeah, so he puts, you know, he's got like 1 foot on my chest. He's got a pair of pliers in my mouth and he yanks it out and I'm like, so you're going to start? And he said, no, that's it, it's out. And then he showed it to me. Oh, God, that's the most revolting thing I've ever seen in my life. Don't show it to me. Nobody wants to see that. Why am I talking about this? Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, I just had a cap, Sue. So I feel your pain, literally. I had to chew on the other side. It's remarkable how used you get to chewing on one side of your face. You don't even really notice it. But, yeah. So I've been eating soft things. Like pizza, for instance. Big mistake, huge. Roy tweets, how do you think global Britain is working out for Bodger and Deckchair Dom? No influence over the US and none within the EU. Well, we never had any influence over the US. Forget about that special relationship. It's only special to us. Us poor, desperate puppy dogs. Trailing along our master and desperately hoping that he's going to pay attention to us. America doesn't care about this country. Never did. don't care. It's America first, regardless of who the President of the United States of America is. It's America first. But we just think because we both speak the same language that we are somehow special in their eyes. But it's just so desperate and pathetic is what it is. Just trailing around. Oh, please notice me, notice me. Have some self-respect. Global Britain. I think Global Britain is working out just fine for Bodger and Deckchair Dom. They're going to be just fine. They're in the money, honey. Always will be. It's us poor dopes who are going to be suffering. Still, we knew what we were voting for. That's what I keep hearing over and over again, regardless of the actual consequences and the reality on the ground. Yeah, there's no food on the shelves and Christmas is cancelled, but we knew what we were voting for. Right. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
You're joking.
No, perfectly serious. 0345 6060 973. By the way, this show gets squirted up the internet as a podcast almost as soon as it's finished. We strip the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to hear. You will use less electricity to hear it. And Greta Thunberg will want to be your pen pal. It's called Nick Abbott, The Whole Show. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. Nick Abbott, The Whole Show. The Friday and Saturday shows get stuck up the internet as a podcast. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Here's Glasgow. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Nick. Morning to you.
Paul.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, just wanted to let you know about the weather in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fake news. We are in taps off weather.
You're in a what now?
You would say tops off.
Yeah.
We would say taps off.
Caps off. Right. You're taking your cap off.
Taps off.
Yeah,
taps.
yeah. Oh, tops.
T-A-P-S.
Right. Right. Okay, I get it. Taps off. I don't believe you. I do not believe you. What's it doing now? Right now,
well,
at this moment.
Right now, it's rather dull here in Glasgow city centre. But we have had 71 degrees all week.
What?
Yes.
What is going on? Because this is not normal.
And the week coming as well. Yeah, I think it will be up to about 79 during the week.
No. 70...
I'm serious, Nick. I can hear you typing on that keyboard.
I
can hear you.
care whether you're serious or not. I am checking as we speak. 79, you are dreaming.
No fake news from Glasgow.
79.
Yes.
No.
No.
No, definitely not. 71 tomorrow. Then 67. 67. Well, 71's not 79. Then 67. 65, 66, 67, 65, 63, 61. Oh, my God, it's autumn already.
Nick, what would you say to that in January, February, March, though?
I'll be pleased with that in January, February, March, but it's not January, February, March, is it?
No, it's not. No. And just while I'm speaking to you, I would like to say, you used to do well. You've always done a great show. But I did used to listen to you on another station, maybe about nearly 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Used to give us, all the boys up here in Glasgow, that were getting looked after by Her Majesty, a bit of a mention.
Oh, right. Bartolini.
Oh, say no more.
Mm-hmm.
Say no more.
Yeah. All right, you've said enough. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I used to be huge in Barlini, eh? My people. Chris texts, I feel I owe Boris Johnson an apology. I've been calling him the worst foreign secretary we've ever had. But after hearing the omni-shambles that is Dominic Raab, he has taken the crown. Yeah, Dominic Deckchair Raab. Angular, tetchy humanoid, Dominic Deckchair Raab. Margaret says, couldn't they have put a few animals in the hold of every plane that left? I assume you're joking, Margaret, but I would guess probably not. Are you kidding me? If they could put a few animals in the hold of every plane that left, they could put a few more people in the hold of every plane that left. Get your priorities straight. Oh, little puppy dog. Yeah, how about a person would be better? Darren texts, have you seen the government in Australia dealing with COVID restrictions? Drink beer with a mask on. How'd you do that? How do you drink beer with a mask on? I mean, Australian people. Well, they are experts. If anybody can drink beer with a mask on, it's Australia.
Booze.
Michelle says in France they have centres where they train aspiring lorry drivers. This course is paid for by the government. The people just need to be referred by the job centre so they can train for an HGV licence for free and also receive an allowance. Is there such a scheme in the UK? Says Michelle. Michelle, I don't know. But it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion, and I'll assume that the answer is no. And furthermore... No. No, I bet you got to pay through the nose to be an HGV person. Government scheme. It costs $9,000 to go to a university to study something that will get you a job on a moped delivering pizza. Rob texts, Bodger Johnson has saved over 150,000 people from dying because of the vaccines. He's a saviour. Rob, you're a troll. Get back under your bridge. You're not going to get a rise out of me. Back under your bridge, troll. Georgie says, the sun is staying in Europe. Now the UK has Brexited. Well, yeah, it seems as though very suspicious that this year is the worst weather ever. And please don't call in and just drop me pen. Hang on a minute. I can't go on without it. Please don't call in again and tell me that you've had the best summer that you can ever remember, and it's been super soaraway hot heat, and it's been dry since March. Stop saying that. I'm upset enough as it is.
Stop whining.
Kev says, I love British summertime. It's my favourite day of the year. Is that all your own work, Kev, or did you nick that? I love British summertime. It's my favourite day of the year. Good one. Jim says, I've noticed, by the way, that there's been a switch. People now text and tweet and email me in massive numbers. I've never seen so many messages being sent, and they're doing it in as an alternative to calling, which is slightly irritating because it's just me reading all the time. But that's the way of the kids these days. They just don't use the phone anymore. I mean, it does. If you call somebody up under the age of like 50, they will stare at their phone for a good long while thinking, why is this person calling me? Because they're used to typing. God, if 20 years ago, you'd said that what the kids will really love to do in the future is type. People would have thought you're off your chump. But they do. They love typing. It's their favourite occupation. Nothing excites them more than a good type. And they sit there all day long typing with their thumbs. And this is what this audiences are doing to me now. They're just sending endless messages. Dave texts, except at times of great tragedy, when did we get and when did we expect to get the truth from politicians? Always. We expect to get the truth from politicians. And until this regime, you think, well, you know, they bend the truth a bit, and they might go on TV and disseminate a little bit of misinformation here and there, but they don't base their entire government on just a string of lies. I mean, this is new territory we're in here. We are all in Donald Trump's world now. And the meaning of words is the same in America as it is here. Fluid.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
See, highly educated. That apparently is not a phrase that means what it used to mean. Nice. It doesn't mean what it used to mean either.
Donald Trump is not a nice person.
Right, or maybe it does. I pressed the wrong one.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Yeah, see, that would have made more sense. Oh, well. Screwed it up. Jim says, have you seen the stories alleging Michel Barnier is running against Macron on an anti-immigration Frexit platform? What does it all mean? Ein texts, not that Ein, surely. It says, do you think the Taliban will be as stupid as our current government and pay its neighbouring country £40 million to patrol its own borders? Doug says, it's been a great summer. No heat, no wasps, no sweating, no sleepless nights because it's too hot. It's been a great summer. Roll on autumn, says Doug. Hey, Doug.
Oh, shut up!
But thanks for getting in touch. Appreciate it. This says, the driving test is easy peasy now. Reverse, scrapped. Has it? Because you used to have to reverse around a corner, which is, relatively complicated for a newbie. Even people who have been doing it a long while don't know how to reverse. Use your mirrors. They tell you to twist around in your seat. I don't think that's a very good idea. I'm probably telling you the wrong thing now, but I find it easier to reverse using mirrors because you can, line yourself up, and you've got your hands on the steering wheel at the correct junction at 10 and 2. Anyway, it says, reverse has been scrapped. The turn in the road scrapped. What, you mean a 3-point turn? They don't have to do that either. What? Emergency stop is 1 in 3 tests. Parking bays are at the examiner's discretion. And all the examiners are interested in is what's under the bonnet and the sat-nav. How could they possibly be interested in what's under the bonnet? It's usually their own car, isn't it, that you're being tested in? And the sat-nav. Do you have to actually show that you can work a sat-nav to pass the test these days? That's ridiculous. No wonder the roads are just complete. The M25, I swear. Can you, anybody go down the M25 at any time of the day or night and it actually be clear? No. I was stuck in an hour and 30-minute jam yesterday. My sat-nav took me into it. I couldn't believe it. It said, there is a delay on your journey. You are on the quickest possible route. And it took me to the end of an hour-and-a-half traffic jam on the M25. And I was staring at it as I was following its instructions like a moron. And I was thinking, you're not actually going to take me to the end of an hour-and-a-half traffic jam. You're surely going to use your giant brain to think your way round it. And did it?
No.
No. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. And I got to the front of the problem, and it was, as usual, a certain make of car that was responsible. Don't make me say it again. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. Look at the time. It's 12:30. The news headlines with Zora Sullivan.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
Dave says, except at times of great tragedy... I read that. Except at times of great tragedy, when did we get and when did we expect to get the truth from politicians? I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago. Jezza tweets, what's your take on the news that Cristiano Ronaldo's heading back to Manchester United? My take on it is it's too many syllables. Cristiano Ronaldo, 7 syllables. And yet the commentators insist on saying all 7 every time he's got the ball, which is going to be a lot. Just say Ronaldo. There's only one Ronaldo on the pitch. We don't think that the goofy one has come back. You know, the guy with the teeth. Guy with the teeth, who looked one way and then passed the ball the other way. Neat trick if you can pull it off. I think it's pretty good. It's exciting. I mean, it's it's another chapter in the soap that is the Premier League. I shall look forward to it. Oh, I'm going to cough. Hang on. That's better. Let's have Elton Shuvik.
Hello, Nick. I was just wondering what, in the aftermath of the deal with the Taliban, what is going to happen to all the weapons that the Americans have left behind? I mean, are the Taliban going to use it themselves? Are they going to share it with ISK? Are they going to sell it to jihadists in neighbouring countries? I mean, there's no telling what will happen to all that weaponry. I mean, Joseph Haller couldn't have made it up more effectively in Catch-22.
Yeah. I don't think they're interested in selling them because they don't really need the money. I mean, they've got all the money in the world because of all that excellent heroin that they produce. So, don't worry about them. They're making billions and billions of dollars. They'll probably use it to shoot people with.
Yeah. I mean, they're already trying to kill each other.
Are they?
And I mean, the attack, the yesterday's blast.
Yeah.
That was ISK attacking the Taliban after the Taliban released all the ISK prisoners, and it's a really it's an unstable situation, and because it's an unstable situation, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous. Yeah, I think that Afghanistan is on the red list for holiday destinations, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the moment there's the World Food Programme is warning there may be hunger. So,
yeah. Well, the World Food, the Tesco's is warning there may be hunger this Christmas.
Warning. Yeah. Although, the pictures out of Afghanistan are just.
Yeah, a little bit more serious than the vegetable aisle in Tesco's having nothing in it. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a very it's a sad situation, and it's getting more and more absurd. Thanks a lot, Shuvik. 0345 6060 973. Barbara texts, alloy wheels need alloy gaiters, cheap but effective protection, says Barbara, who I imagine works for the company. And I had no idea what alloy gaiters were, so I had to look it up in the break. That's what they are. I see those things everywhere. I just thought that they were fancy wheels that people put on fancy cars. It's this little strip of colour. It's not like a white wall tyre exactly, because that's the tyre itself is white, but it's a little strip that often matches the colour of the car. It's like a little bead of colour that goes around the wheel. And I just assumed that was, somebody buying a fancy wheel. But it's not. It's a little bit of plastic that you stick on the outside. Or, more accurately, you pay somebody else to stick it on the outside. Don't try it yourself unless you have, unless you've got detailed files. I'm thinking of getting some. But I think it's a bit late, actually. I mean, my alloys are in an absolutely shocking state. I curb them frequently. Well, if they didn't build curbs so near to where I park, then it wouldn't be such a problem. It's not my fault. Mike says, it's now a snowflake world. They don't want to upset anyone by telling them that they've failed their driving test. Why do you think so many school leavers are getting very high exam results? Because the government have fixed it that they could just point to these exam results and say, look, under our munificent leadership, all of the kids today are so much smarter than they used to be. Do kids today seem smarter than they used to be?
No.
I rest my face. Yet every single one of them has just passed with 10 A stars. Which does mean, by the way, that an A star is what a C used to be. If everybody's got an A, at least an A, let's say an A is what a C used to be, an A star is what a B used to be, and there is no current equivalent as to what an A is now. I'm a C student.
Affirmative.
Yeah. Matt says, you say you know the highway code. No, Matt. I said the opposite of that. I said I used to know the highway code, but if you ask me any question about the highway code now, I guarantee I won't know what the answer is. But anyway, he says, you say you know the highway code. Who has priority turning right at a box junction? Is it A, a milk float, B, an e-scooter, or C, Steve Allen in his Bentley? Let me say this again. If you see somebody in a side road and they want to join traffic, just let them out, because it's the nice thing to do.
Be polite!
Unless they're driving a Bentley, in which case it might be Steve Allen. Leave them waiting. Darryl says, don't be so rude about young drivers. They all passed their driving test with a well-deserved A star. This is how old geezers get their own back. That'll teach them, these young kids today. Mike emails. Maybe Biden has a John Wayne fixation. He's going to round up a posse and hunt down the bad guys. Yeah, no, we failed. The West failed. The West seems to fail in pretty much all of its adventures. We ain't got the stomach for it. And we ain't got the time, we ain't got the patience, and we pretend that we haven't got the money. But that's a lie. We do have the money. It's just that we select not to spend it on certain things. Mostly those things include, but are not limited to, foreigners. I mean, do you remember the happy, clappy dance that people were making when the government announced that it was going to spend less money on foreigners, foreign aid? Oh, my God, people were absolutely bursting at the seams. They were so thrilled. Don't try to pretend to me that we're a caring, sharing country. No, we're not. And the only money that we do give to in foreign aid is for the benefit of the direct benefit of ourselves, raising a country up to the point where it becomes consumers of what we sell. You know, weaponry, mostly. Machinery. They describe it as machinery. If you look at the import-export numbers, then we export a vast amount of machinery. But I think that's what they mean by that, you know, things that go bomb, things that go boom in the night. Leslie tweets, the driving test these days does not include the three-point turn or reversing your car into a side road. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, both of those things are something that you will need to know. What do they actually test these days? I mean, there's not much left. No emergency stop, no parking, no three-point turn, no reversing. What's left? Rob emails, I agree that Trump scraped the bottom of the barrel, but I had great hope in Biden and I'm extremely gutted. Well, yeah, but you're talking about just this one thing, though. And just this one thing, though, is what the people in America and, by the way, the people in this country wanted. We wanted the troops back. We wanted to spend less money on foreigners, and you got your wish. It's just that it's a little bit messy extricating yourself from a country that you've been propping up for, the last 10 years, 20 years. Since forever. That's the reason that it's messy, is because we were trying to impose what an ordered country in our eyes looks like on Afghanistan. Probably not such a great idea to copy it on what we've got here, which is a centralised government, because it's all tribal warlords and this faction hates that faction and etc. and so on. So we were trying to impose the Western idea of good governance on a country that didn't recognise it, and when we left, it was in a chaotic mess, which will no doubt be bad for them and us eventually. But it's what the people wanted. And it continues to be what the people want. So his popularity may dip a bit. I mean, it won't go down to as low as Donald Trump's highest rating, Biden. I mean, it has gone down. But Trump's highest rating is still not as high as Biden's lowest rating. Before we start yearning for the previous incarnation. But, yeah, that's what people wanted. And very, very occasionally, you get what you want. 0345 6060 973. Lee text, could you confirm what is happening with Christmas this year? You're worrying me. Is Priti Patel planning to cancel it? Now we have our country back thanks to Brexit. Have we exchanged Turkey for sovereignty? I better not complain. I wouldn't want a whipping from Priti Patel. Yeah, well, I think I did that to death, but I can fill in more detail if you like. One moment, please.
Come on, we're running late.
0345 6060 973. Can you confirm what is happening with Christmas this year, says Lee. Yeah, all right then. It's off. In a nutshell, Christmas is cancelled.
Oh, no.
UK retailers are grappling with a shortage of truck drivers that's left some businesses without key products and are not likely to get the help that they want from the government. Well, you know what? They only have themselves to blame because UK retailers had every opportunity to be donors to the Conservative Party, but they failed in that regard, so they get nothing. Businesses and haulage groups are lobbying for truckers from the European Union to be added to a visa programme to allow them to fill an estimated gap of 100,000 people. No, 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 and furthermore...
No, 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 no.
Because that smells like immigration to me. And people will be yelling that they can't get a milkshake from their favourite burger restaurant and they can't get any chicken from their favourite fried chicken establishment. And there's no toys on the shelves at Christmas and the shops are all out of crisps. And they're going to have to remind me how they knew what they were voting for when they selected to leave the European Union. But you can save that call because I remember now it was fewer foreigners about the place. And now those foreigners are gone and we find we can't do without them. If only somebody had said something. You know, had warned that Brexit might not be such a great idea. Unless you were a hedge fund manager and had patriotically bet hundreds of millions of pounds against the economy of this country. It's almost as though we've been had. If only someone had spoken up. This month is apparently really, really big for, getting all your stuff together for Christmas. Not you. You can wait. Or actually this year, maybe you shouldn't wait. Get it in now. Put it in the freezer. One person in government who spoke on condition of anonymity said there was frustration at the attitude of haulage associations. You see, logistics, that's what they call it, like trucking things from one place to the next. And that bloke that I was talking to earlier on was completely right, totally correct in every respect. He said that if you go to the shops, what you'll see on there has been taken there by lorry. I mean, it mostly arrived in this country by ship, and then, unless you want to go to the ship personally and pick up your stuff, don't do it, then it's going to have to go to where it's going on a lorry. But there ain't no lorry drivers. 100,000 short, apparently. And that's because we expressed a preference that we didn't want European lorry drivers here no more. And then they said, yeah, OK, then, ta-da.
Bye-bye.
And they left. And now we're busy saying, well, no, come back. Don't go. But one person in government who spoke on condition of anonymity said there was a frustration at the attitude of haulage associations. Now, while many firms blame Brexit, this person in government said that the haulage associations need to get used to the new reality. Well, they're beginning to say that now about Brexit, aren't they? Because at first it was teething problems. Don't worry about it, these are just teething problems. They'll sort themselves out. And then experts, after a good long while, said, you know what, this is not a teething problem. This is baked into that stupid deal that you signed but you didn't read. It's almost as though this government has no idea what it's doing. Now, why on earth would that be?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember now. So the government is busy trying to blame the lorry companies for not having the staff that got sent home because the government was trying to pander to its fans' basest instincts and get Brexit done by chucking out all the foreigners. Many firms blame Brexit, but the person speaking on behalf of the government said that the haulage companies need to get used to the new reality and start paying better wages so they can attract staff. They want companies to upend their business model because this government is in want of someone to blame for this Brexit fiasco, someone other than themselves, of course, where the blame in fact lies. Well, here's a fun fact. Even if they doubled the wages, it would still take about 2 months to train a driver. And that would be the end of October. And that's too late for Christmas. Because apparently the goods need to be moving now. And it's not going to help if the shelves are bare of vegetables and fruit or things that you actually like crisps. Can you imagine going down the crisps aisle and there's nothing to buy? I mean, you can get by without broccoli, but cheese and onion. Anyway, the problem with increasing wages, of course, is that prices on the shelves will go up. And I don't think that's what Brexiters voted for, despite them trying to rewrite history and claiming that they did. They didn't, and furthermore, they didn't. And on top of that, young people just don't want to drive lorries for a living. Why would you want to do that? You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're slaving away all day in some hot cab, and then you've got to sleep in it and pee in a bottle. Does that sound like a great life?
No.
No, nobody wants to do that. And computerized self-driving lorries are the future. Why would you train for a job that doesn't have a future? The thing is, we don't have a labour force that's that desperate. But we know of a huge labour force from countries that aren't as well fed as we are. But we said we didn't want them here. So they left. And it all comes as a shock to this government. Just like everything else that happens comes as a shock to this government. This clown show we got running the shop, they must be stunned when the sun comes up in the east yet again. Who'd have thunk it, Bodge? Exactly. Burton-on-Trent. Daniel.
Hi.
Daniel. Yes, Daniel.
Hello?
Yes, Daniel. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Well, I'd just like to say that I think the problem we've got a shortage of drivers is because of the ageing workforce.
Yes.
We've got, I think, an average age of 55.
Yeah.
And it's been said that by 2025 we're going to have a shortage of 250,000, let alone 100,000.
Yeah, same as bricklayers, actually. That's the same problem with bricklayers. They're all 55 years old.
Yeah, but I think also the problem that we have is, well, they say that it's a shortage of drivers, but I don't think it's that. I think it's an organisation problem, and I don't think it's down to just, obviously, the drivers. I think it's down to, the planners and the logistics companies and the markets and supermarkets taking the stock. I mean, just a few weeks ago, I was working for a company and I was doing 80 hours a week.
Oh.
But 25 of those hours, I was sat around waiting, not being unloaded, just waiting to be unloaded.
Yeah.
And
Well, they
this is all
don't.
down to the planning.
Well, no, they don't have the staff to unload the lorries. I mean, that's the problem. The problem all the way through it is the people who used to do the jobs that we don't want to do aren't here anymore, and it's affecting everything.
No, that's how it's been for years and years. As a truck driver, you'll go to a Tesco's or Asda or whatever. You'll go on a bay, you'll wait for 3 or 4 hours before they even touch your trailer, and that's not recent. And the drivers will get the blame from the transport officers because they haven't planned it right in the first place, but they can't blame themselves.
Right, well, okay, but if that is always been the case, then what we're experiencing now is completely different. There's not an extension of what you've just described. If you've just described the truth, and I have my doubts, I think Tesco's probably know their business quite well, but if that's your experience, then what is happening to us now is over and above that by some margin.
It's only over and above that because they haven't got a large area of drivers that they can pull from the EU.
Right, exactly.
But I voted to leave because I knew that my wage would increase, and it has done.
Right.
Because it was being suppressed by the fact that supermarkets would happily get these drivers from elsewhere, and I've got nothing against anybody from anywhere coming into the country, but they were being taken advantage of by the big companies.
Everybody's being taken advantage of by big companies. We're all being used as slaves. It's called having a job, Daniel. Anyway, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. Thank you for your service. I'll be back tonight at 10 o'clock, regardless of what happens in the intervening period, unless I'm stuck in a traffic jam, in which case all bets are off. If you subscribe to the podcast of this show, the next episode will get squirted up your life as though by magic, and we put the podcast out of this show a brief period after it's, I don't know, it's not my job to do that bit, but I'm sure that we have an excellent person who will be all over it. We take the news and the ads and just the news and the ads out. It takes much less time to listen to, and you will do your bit to save the planet because you'll use less electricity to listen to it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
If you stick around, let me just check right at the bottom of this page. Ian Payne is here at 4 o'clock, of course, and first, Clive Ball.